screen?
Not yet, sir. You can do in a moment. So welcome to our very first guinea pig spotlight session with Andy McKinney from Gameplan Financial. Andy is going to talk us through a bit of his background and what the organisation and what he can do to help clients. And then he's got some random questions from me at the end to help peel the onion and learn a little bit more about Andy. And they haven't been practiced, so it'll be interesting what answers we get. So over to you, Andy. Screen share away, sir.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. See it okay?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, so my name's Andy McKinney. I'm part of a firm called Gameplan Financial. We're a nationwide firm. We're specifically created for former or current professional athletes to move into the financial services once their careers either come into an end or they're still playing. So this lovely photo of me was playing for the Manchester Storm. This was 2017 to 2018 season, which was the highest ranking in the league table for Manchester Storm then, we finished second place. So that was really good for the club. I can't click next. There we go. Got it. So yeah, the story, I started down in Deeside, which is not far from Chester, just across the border. Started at the age of 5, 1996. As I was growing up as a kid through school, all I wanted to be was an ice hockey player, as you can imagine. That's when anyone asked me what I wanted to do when I left school, it was just always ice hockey. So yeah, when I was turned 16, I tried my luck and I went over across to Canada to play over there for 2 years. I played what they call junior ice hockey, which is the age of 16 up to 20. And it's basically a group of kids who are trying to battle for college scholarships or professional contracts. So really loved it, enjoyed it there. Unfortunately, didn't quite cut it. Those Canadians are pretty good. But then I come back to the UK and signed my first professional contract here in the UK at the age of 19. And I represented England at under 19 level. So originally my first contract was with Telford Tigers. And then as I progressed in my career, I've moved all around the houses. I've moved over to Hull, played in the top level there for Hull Stingrays, across to Manchester for the Manchester Phoenix, they were called at the time. Down to Guildford, which is a large portion of my career. It's where I met my lovely partner. And then moved back up to Manchester. And then across to Telford again. So not sure if I'm going to play next year, as I'm focusing on my business now and what I can do to help people in the financial services. So.
Do you ever fancy going back and coaching, Andy?
So yeah, I coached at Guildford, and now that I've just had a son, I'm sure when he starts skating at 5 years old, I'll be coaching.
5? You're going to wait till 5?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Let's see. So the transition. So as athletes, we all understand that we can only play for so long. We're not like the football players who make an absolute killing. So yeah, we need to look at doing something once our careers come to an end. So Game Plan, like I said before, has been specifically designed for future or current professional athletes to move into financial services. We're a strong group, and we pride ourselves on that. Like I said, we specialize in providing bespoke financial advice and protection insurance advice as well. We take the drive and the passion needed to reach the top of our sporting careers to provide the best service for our clients and their families. We're a team of friendly advisors and we have a great story behind us.
And what professional sports are you tapping into at the moment?
So predominantly it is ice hockey. There is a few rugby players. There's also a CrossFit gym fanatic up in Newcastle. And there's also a couple of semi-professional football players that are coming through the ranks at the moment. It's just great to have good team morale. We are part of the firm, so if I need any advice, I can go away and source it with my directors and my mentors. But yes, we are a franchisee. We are running our own businesses. I'm based here in Chester in the Northwest, and that's where I really want to get a good group of clients with me and provide best advice. So taking on to business protection, this is what we specialize in. So having the right business protection allows your business to continue to prosper, even in circumstances when you or your key people can't be there. We specialize in advising you as a business owners to find you the best protection for you and your employees. So SMEs in the UK, 22% actually have a form of policy in place that will protect them from the worst happening. So that leaves, 4 out of 5 businesses not having the correct cover in place. Often in conversations, you'll speak to people who have got public liability or employers liability, thinking that they're covered for all areas when they're actually not. So this is my job to advise on. Take me on to the next slide, next step there, key persons insurance. So we'll help you protect your business from a financial loss that may arise if a key person within your company becomes terminally ill, suffers from a critical illness, or sadly passes away. How will your business suffer if this happened to you? So key persons, who could that possibly be? Obviously your company directors. Potentially you could have a head of sales who brings in a lot of your turnover. If he was to become critically or she become critically unwell, how would you survive during that period? Also, it could be someone like managing personnel. It could even be an admin assistant who's a key part of the team who gets everything done and dusted. So that's the things you need to consider. How would your company survive? Would you want a policy in place that would pay out for you to be able to recruit, go back to the drawing board, find someone to take them whilst they're off on leave? Your relevant life policy, it's also known as a death in service in your contract. It's a type of business cover that allows you to, or a staff member, to have some cover in place for their family in the event of them passing away whilst they're in service at your company. Executive income protection is relatively new to the market. It will protect a business from the potential financial impact in the event of where an employee or a director is incapacitated. The great thing about income protection, it does not discriminate. It does not need to meet a medical definition. If you are signed off work because you cannot work and you're ill, you will receive a payout. And the good thing about executive income protection, you can claim for up to 80% of your earnings. So they will contribute to your pensions, your national insurance contributions, and they can also be taken out purely on dividends if you pay yourself that way. If you're talking about a personal income protection plan, the maximum you can claim is 65 to 70%. So that's where you're getting the extra 10 to 15% there if you run it through your business. It's also a lot more tax efficient. You run it down as a business expense, so it's better. If you're a limited company, this is what you should be looking at. Taking me on to the next one is director's loan protection. So you could be a director who's injected, your own personal cash into the business. You would definitely want to protect that. If you become incapacitated, if you've sadly passed away, your family would want to recover that money back out of the business. So putting a simple policy in place to protect that would allow the business to make a claim, have that money there to be able to pay the family or take out shareholders and take shares back. Alternatively, on the flip side of that, if you've borrowed money from the bank is borrowing you the money as an individual, not the business. So if you passed away or become unwell and was no longer working, the bank would get in touch and they would want that money back as a priority. So having a form of policy in place would allow you to get a payout and be able to pay the banks back. Taking me on to the next section is personal protection. This is another one of our specialties. So yeah, if you are a sole trader, these are the type of protection you would be looking at. On top of, if you are a limited company, you should also have your personal protection in place as well. So life insurance, life insurance in a nutshell is very, very boring, but it's very, very important. How would your family survive or be financially secure if the worst really did happen? With a simple life cover or family income benefit, you could leave a positive legacy behind. So life insurance, you've got decreasing cover, which ties into your mortgage, so it depreciates in value from the onset. You've also got term assurance, or level, as they like to call it, where your pot of money will stay the same value throughout its lifespan. And then you've got increasing cover, which will just rise with inflation, so retail prices indexed. And that's probably the best form of cover if you're looking at family protection, because you want that pot of money to be the same value if you're going to make a claim on it in 30 years' time. Critical illness, very important. So yeah, it will allow you to take time off work, relieve your family of financial responsibility if you become critically unwell. A few stats for you on the critical illness side of things. 4 out of 5 patients on Macmillan, they've done a recent study, suffer financially from cancer. It's, the stats don't lie. 1 in 2 people do get cancer. You're actually £570 worse off if you get cancer, due to going to Clatterbridge, let's say, where the local cancer unit is here. I know when my dad was sadly passing away, he was back in 2 all the time, paying for parking, etc. And yeah, you're just worse off in general. And 33% of cancer patients stop work altogether whilst they're trying to battle the illness. So having a policy in place where you could get a payout, a lump sum payout, critical illness cover, would put you in a better stead and give you peace of mind and not have that financial worry. Income protection, which I touched on before, is fantastic. It does not discriminate. It's probably in my order of importance. You should be looking at getting all 3 or a mixture of combination of these 3. Income protection for me is the highest priority. It is a policy for yourself. That's the way you should look at it. Critical illness is a policy for yourself. Life insurance, it's not for you really. It's for who you're going to leave it to. So income protection, like I said, you can. It's totally budget driven. So you can have a payout for 1 year, you can have a payout for 2 years, or you can have a payout for all the way up until your retirement age. Some providers will actually pay out for 5 years. There's only a handful that will do that. But it's a fantastic policy, and you can put a deferred period in there, which will change the budget. So if you need a policy to kick in after a month of you being off work, you can do that. 3 months or 12 months. So I've got a lot of NHS clients on board who get really, really good sickness benefits. They get 6 months full, 6 months half. So we put a deferred period of 12 months. So if they were off for longer than 12 months, that's when their income protection would kick in. So taking me on to, saving money. So, like car insurance, home insurance, it's very important to get your life insurance policies reviewed every year. So once you become a client of mine, I will do this for you. I will get in touch with you and I will say, it's time to get a date in the diary for our annual review. What I'll do in the annual review will basically just make sure you're paying the right price, make sure there's been no changes in your circumstances, and just make sure that your policies are put into trust. Why do we advise to put policies into trust? It basically paves the way out on the basis of a payout, and it speeds up the process. It avoids what they call probate, and at the moment, probate is anywhere between 6 to 12 months, depending on the sum of the value of money. So just doing some simple paperwork, getting some signatures, and pathing the way out of your policy, it just makes it so much easier. And why would you want your family to suffer and go through dealing with insurance providers to pay out if the policy is not in trust? So all of my clients that I bring on board, all their policies go into trust. Also, what you can do in the annual review as well, compare quality. So providers are always changing their medical definitions. There's always new providers who change in there. So once you get a contract in place, let's say you got it in 2015, those medical definitions, which on the day of you putting that policy into place, is what you will have in your contract. This can change. We're 6 years down the line in 2021. So new medical definitions are coming on the board, and providers are changing their stance on things all the time, specifically mental health, as we've been through this pandemic. So it's always great to use the latest technology that I have to my hands to really assess your current policies and to see what we can do and put you in a better position. So yeah, at Gameplan, we do mortgages. So if you're buying a home, remortgaging, come and have a chat with me. We'll see what we can do for you. What we do, we offer a comprehensive range of mortgage products and repayment options to suit your individual circumstances, enabling you to make the right choice. Things you need to consider is how much you want to repay each month, what's affordable to you and your family at that specific time. I've had people who have, lots of clients have come to me who have recently gone self-employed given the circumstances and the redundancies that have been out there. So, they want something that's affordable to them at this moment in time so they can focus on their other areas of their business and have more cash flow that way. So this is why we take a broad range approach and really find out a bit more about you as an individual and your future plans. Also, what mortgage deals should you look at? You've got fixed rate, variable rate. You don't really want to go on that. If that happens, get in touch with us. There's also offset mortgages, which is what we try and champion within the industry, because be all end all, a mortgage is a debt at the end of the day. If you're going for an offset mortgage, you're paying that off quicker. So you get the thumbs up from us in the industry if you go for that. Are your circumstances different to the normal? I mean, I've touched on that as well. And do you have any special requirements? Do you want to get tied into a 2-year, 3-year, or a 5-year fixed term? If you go for a 2-year, you'll have the option to search the market again in 2 years' time, and then also what costs are involved as well. So at Gameplan, we charge a fee of £295, which is payable on completion of your mortgage, which is very, very competitive.
And do you have whole of market options on that, Andy?
So we're part of Primus Network, so we have a panel of providers that we choose. But yeah, we're very competitive, and Primus do 10% of all UK mortgages, so you really are in safe hands.
Okay.
Will writing. So at the moment, as a firm, we are offering the complimentary will writing. It is completely free of charge at the moment, and it will be for the rest of 2021. Just given the height of the pandemic, we want to give back to our clients and open up those discussions with people who need a will. Basically, who needs a will? If you've got children, you need a will. If you've got a mortgage, you need a will. If you're married, you actually need a will as well. So yeah, what you need to consider when you're making a will is the executors that you need to name down. On general rule of thumb, you need to have 3 executors on the file there. It just gives you a more standard approach, and it's you get a 2-to-1 voting system, which would come into play. Trustees is similar to an executor. Normally, when you're putting your life insurance policies into a trust, they're normally going to be the same as your executors, and you have those conversations. It's never nice, it's morbid to think about, but these discussions that you need to have with your executors, just say, look, if I did pass away, this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. Guardians, when you're putting a will in place, it's not all about where the money should go or who's going to pay off your liabilities. It's about selecting your guardians. Who would you want to look after your children if you did pass away? Where would you want if you were due an insurance payout, where would you want that to go? Would you want it to go to your guardian so they can pay for your kids to survive and have a good life whilst you're no longer here? Beneficiaries, so you need to clearly identify and name down who you want to benefit from the proceedings. And then also stuff around funeral arrangements. It's never nice to think about what you'd want, but for my funeral, I've put a specific request down there that I'd like Paolo Nutini to be played whilst everyone's going down the aisle, type of thing. So yeah, it's just things to consider, and you might as well get it done and dusted. 54% of UK adults who need a will don't have a will. So it shows you how it takes priority. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Andy McKinney. You've got my company website there. And then you've also got my email address on the bottom there. But yeah, feel free to get in touch with me if you've got any burning questions regarding the insurance industry. I see how I can help you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andy. So in terms of ideal people for other members to be mindful of that could be really good contacts for you, presumably professional sports people, connections with large sporting organisations, ideally in the Northwest? Yeah,
I mean, what we've been trying to do with the sporting communities and clubs, they've suffered massively. Football's managed to do okay with the filtered down from the Premier League. So what we try and do is set up agreements in place with the sporting clubs. So anyone from the sports club that comes to us for financial advice, we'll inject some money back into that club to keep them ticking over during this difficult time. And yeah, it's always nice to speak to sporting clubs. Other referrals or people they can put me in touch with is estate agents, lettings agents would be nice. And then divorce lawyers, because there's been a lot of divorces recently, given the COVID and spending too much time together. So I can help with the separation of policies, allocation of trustees. So yeah, that's who I'd want to speak to.
Okay, brilliant. Are you ready for my off-the-wall questions then? So, if you could only watch one film, what would you choose and why?
Okay. I'm not much of a movie buff, to be honest.
Okay, so listen to one song or read one book?
I don't know. I like Along Came Polly. That's good. I'm a big Jennifer Aniston fan, to be honest.
Okay, very good. Very good. And if not on the ice, what other things do you do for fun?
I used to love traveling. Not been doing too much traveling now with baby number 2 on the way, but I visited 44 countries so far.
Oh, wow.
So when I was playing ice hockey, luckily our seasons were September to April. So as soon as our season finished in April, I was, hockey kit thrown away in my mum's garage. And I was off with a backpack, just trying to hit as many countries as possibly could, and budget would allow. So that was fantastic. I love sport in general. I love culture. So in the UK at the moment, going to different spots and history. In terms of sports, I like golf. I like cycling. Watching football. And any sports in general, tennis.
Very good. And if you were to, last one, you'll be pleased to know, if you were to give yourself some advice when you were 16, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I'd like to say, no, that's probably not. I probably wouldn't change a lot, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure to, for 16-year-olds to go get their A levels and, have a definitive route. But for me, I've done lots of different things, and I think that's just given me a wealth of knowledge, stories, and a bit more personality. When I was 16, I guess probably I would have probably made a decision to go to Germany to play ice hockey instead of Canada. And I should have done some education as well between that gap. 16 to 18, I wasn't studying at all. I was playing ice hockey and working. I actually lived on a horse ranch, so I was looking after 30
Oh, wow.
horses. So it was a life lesson, I guess.
Yeah,
but I wasn't learning much about books or anything. So
plenty of time for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Abby, any questions from you at all, my dear?
No. At what point, so in the business, you're thinking of setting up a business, or when is it best to come and talk to you? As you start and put everything, or sort of halfway through?
Yeah, so if you're going in, if you're starting off in business at the moment, if you're a sole trader, just come and have a chat to me. I can give you advice straight from the onset about, in terms of insurance policies that you'd need at that moment in time. I've had people, there's been so many recent startups in this current climate who have, they're looking to go limited company because it's going to be better in the long run for tax purposes. That's when we can start running stuff for your business. Normally you need to be in business or a limited company 6 to 12 months. We'll have that, have your annual figures, which most of the providers will ask that, or you can put any policies into place.
Brilliant.
If I'm just, sorry, I'm going to start.
Go on, Abby, that's fine.
If I've just started my business up, or, how will I pay? Do I have to pay for this, or will you get paid by the provider?
Yeah, so my advice to yourself, I'm an intermediary. I do not get paid. I don't ask for a fee from you. I provide professional advice. I put the policies in place with the chosen providers, and the providers pay me for giving you expert advice. That's how I get paid.
Okay. One last question. Okay. Who's your ideal client? So first of all, what does the ideal client look like? And then name somebody who you'd love to get.
The ideal client would be someone in business, a limited company, who has employees between 12 and above would be my ideal client. To do all their policies for the whole company would be fantastic and ideal. There's a company called Autocraft in Telford. If I could get in there, that would be great. They've got
okay.
big clients.
What do they do?
They work with, they take cars off the road that have been in accidents and do repairs and work with car insurance providers.
Why them?
Just because I know people who work there, and I just would like introductions to their directors.
Okay. Right. Who's the most famous person you've met?
She's off. Sorry, can't stop her now.
I don't know. Met Phil Thompson in the airport a few years ago. He's not really that famous. He's an ex-Liverpool player. A couple of ice hockey players that are really, really famous, I guess. That's probably it.
Daren't ask anymore.
No, you can. It's fine. I'll stop recording. Ask away.